Hello, welcome to yet another beautiful day. It's a very beautiful day here in Mombasa. And today I would want us to look on a subject topic, the power of networking. You may be wondering, what is networking? Why do we need to network? How do we network? Who is in your network? And what is your network doing for you? Welcome, my name is Magdalene Kamau speaking to you from Mombasa. My first question on what is networking. I'd like to pose this as the explanation of what networking is. Networking is intentionally cultivating a relationship with other people around you at any one instance. This can be done by you taking a step to introduce yourself to the person next to you, telling them who you are, what you do, your interests, your business, if you're in school, if you have children. And at the same time, giving them enough information to respond to this so that they too can share similar information such as their likes, their family, what they do on a daily basis, maybe where they're going. Sometimes they may have to ask a question. Remember, you're not limited at any one time on where you can network. The question is whether you're willing to network. Think of networking as that square in a net, the fishing net. And that square has four corners. In every one of the four corners, imagine that there are people standing at the corners and they're holding hands. And then there is someone right behind them touching their shoulder and stretching their hand and touching another person's shoulder. So what you have is that as many people are touching other people's shoulders, you have more squares being formed. And one square of four people has another group of people touching their shoulders over and over, and they make this big mesh of a net. And that is networking, which means at the end of a network, what you get is a person who knows someone, who knows someone, who knows someone, and the line continues. So you're not limited to how many people you can know. You're only limited to how far you're willing to exploit the power of networking. Now, as we go on, we'll find out how to do this and why we need to do it. Now, the next question is on why do we need to network? There are two main reasons why we would want to network. One is to enlarge our circle of relation, and the other one is to build people knowledge. On expanding our circle of relation, let's first look at it from a business perspective. A business owner will go out in search for clients. So every time he speaks to someone, most likely he will bring up the issue of what he does, what his business offers. And in return, he hopes to get the other person respond with interest towards what he does, and he could convert them to clients. On the other hand, he could go out in search for new suppliers. He could also go out in search for information about the market. So maybe he will speak to a journalist who may have gathered information from different businesses. He could also gather this more information on the current market by speaking to other people who may have experience in that same market that he is in. And that is on enriching the circle of relations. It builds his business better. What about a student? A student will go out and network for the purpose of maybe trying to look for someone who can help him solve a certain problem that he's had in his subject that he's tackling, that someone else may be better off than him. So what he does is that he goes and speaks to other students who may not be in his class, with the intention that someone else may actually know that concept better and be able to explain it to him. That way he can actually form a discussion group that will help him understand more concepts in a lane that he is not being able to handle. At the same time, he's also able to share what he knows with these other classmates or other people who are not in his class. Sometimes we simply network just to get friends. Isn't that the same way a man meets a beautiful lady, says hi to her, and a few years down the line, we hear that they're married? So through networking, some relationships are formed, relationships that could end up in marriage. Now, the other reason as to why we network is to expand the people knowledge. And when I say the people knowledge, the question is, do you know anybody? Or simply, who do you know? Now, if I know one person, and this person has been to a certain place, most of the time when we talk, they're likely to bring up the issue of the place they went. Now, when I know that one person, they paint me a very beautiful picture of where they went. And with time, what happens? I know the place they went as though I was there. So by knowing them, they feed me with knowledge of where they have been and what they know. And the more people you know, the more information you gather. So networking actually builds the mentor you. Now, I normally advocate, no matter who you are, no matter what you do not walk alone. Network. Why? Think of a rainy day and the water is rushing down a road, and down this road are a few potholes. The water that is retained in the pothole, when the rest of the water drains down and maybe goes and joins a river, the amount of water left in the pothole tends to dry alone. Now, normally I say, if you walk alone, you will dry or die alone. You may be having a problem or a situation that you're not able to solve on your own. But when you walk with the group, when you speak to the group of people, when you share this issue out to the people, what happens is that you gain more knowledge and you have more information to work with to be able to sort a certain problem. So do not walk alone, network. Now that you know what networking is, and you know why you need to network, then your next question is, how will you network? Now you see, I'm a very friendly person, and I seem to flow very well in networking. I flow very well in speaking to new people. Somehow I'm not afraid to meet new people. I know how far I can go in a conversation. I know when to cut and when to digress into a new topic. Now, a few people have told me they don't know how. Whenever they meet a new person, they freeze. Now, I would want to share a bit of what I do while networking so that you will know how. I want to share a bit of guidelines. What can you do to learn how to speak to new people? Absolutely new people, strangers, if I may say. Now, the first thing that you need to know is that for you to be able to network, you need to be able to take every opportunity that comes to your way to greet somebody. Now, for example, you walk into this room and there are a number of people. It may feel a bit nervous to speak to the first person, but hey, what will it cost you to simply say, hello, how are you? And then you target the most possible thing that you can speak about. It could be the weather, it could be the location, the setting of the room. Now, I love colors, so immediately I will delve to the colors of a room. It could be about something that has just been spoken on radio, on TV, or something that has been spoken around that time. So at least we're in the same level. Whenever you start a conversation, aim at speaking about something that both of you are actually witnesses of. So you don't go speaking about London and this person you have no idea whether they even know about London. But you could speak about the weather. Why? Because both of you are witnesses of the weather. You can see how the weather is at that moment. Now, when I start with a greeting, the next thing is that I aim to be nice and warm towards that person. Remember, my aim here is to be able to get them to speak back to me. So I will not throw so much of information, but I will pose a question like, isn't the weather beautiful today? Or, wow, look at that room, the colors are so beautiful. Now, some of those statements I use are just to get the person to pay attention to something that is within their surrounding. And this is how I get them to respond to me. Because when I pose a question, most of the time they'll say either, oh, I'm not so curious about colors. And I'll go like, so what are you curious about? You see, the aim here is to get them to flow with you so that you're not so way ahead of them that they don't even know what you're talking about. Now, there's a time that you have nothing else to speak about except an instance taking place. And sometimes the instance may not be very beautiful. For example, it could be a car accident. Now, in this case, what you do is aim to have the most positive talk in a sympathetic way. What you're trying to do is not to say anything negative towards the accident, but actually show sympathy and encourage the person at the same time, and maybe note something positive about it. You could say, well, the vehicle got damaged, but I'm glad nobody got injured. And in that, what happens is the person actually takes the tone of your voice and the mood in your saying, and they start going into a conversation with that. The last thing you want is a negative conversation, because you will not achieve much. Even if you wanted to market yourself, you will not achieve much in a negative conversation. Now, the other thing you need to do is when the person starts responding, do not jump into a very big topic. Stay within the most logical thing at that moment. Now, you cannot greet someone and immediately jump into your business. Hello, I'm Magdalene and I sell cosmetics. Now, that looks weird. So what you aim to do is to actually, if you're selling cosmetics, you could compliment them either about their perfume, their skin color, or something that will make them now head towards that without really dragging them along. You want them to walk there gracefully and willingly towards the conversation. At the same time, it would be very important for you to give this person time to respond. Now, there are people who are so overwhelming in their information delivery that they give you so much that you don't know when you're supposed to respond. Now, if you're going to be good at networking, aim at giving this person time to respond and don't interrupt them. At the same time, do not show boredom, however boring the topic could be. You could smile, you could nod, be there, show enthusiasm and be yourself in that conversation. Also, aim at knowing as much about this person as you can. Look, at the end of networking, remember, one, you want to tell them about yourself, but at the same time, you also want to get as much about themselves. Remember, you're not going to get any business if you don't know them, or you're not going to get any solutions or any information if you don't get them saying. So you need to give them enough space and be enthusiastic and encourage them to keep pouring it out on and on. Now, when you need to ask a question, there's a way you show your body that you're about to. Like, I have big eyes, so when I want to ask a question, I'll open my eyes a bit wider and this person knows I'm about to say something. So you gather as much and as well as give as much information that is important. Now, as we now start digressing towards what I want us to discuss about with this person, as I throw hints, what I do is I use the easiest words to express what I want to say. Don't try to use big words. You're not impressing anybody with big words. What you can do is use the easiest words that can be digestible, or as I usually say, that are chewable, something that someone can digest and they'll understand what I'm talking about. And then I remain truthful in my message. If I'm speaking to somebody and they also give me some information, my response has to be very truthful for them to be able to go along. Because when I tell a lie, I'll be forced to cover it with another lie. And at the end of the day, this person will probably go like, yeah, I know, you told me this, now you're telling me this. So in your networking, aim to be truthful as you give your information. Now, the other thing that you could work towards is, as now you digress towards what you want them to talk about. For example, you sit next to this lady with a big basket in a bus and it's full of bananas. And maybe you, after you've greeted them, and you could say like, the bananas smell really nice. Are you from the market? And you see, what you've done is like you're throwing them into a situation where they need to explain themselves. And in a funny way, the way you've asked, you've created some level of curiosity. If this lady actually sells bananas, guess what? They've just sensed it. Here comes a client. So as you go on with this conversation, you will try and inquire where they sell their bananas. Maybe you have a party at the end of the week and you need to make some nice banana juice if you know how to do those. So you will ask them maybe for their phone number so that you can buy bananas from them. At the same time, you will talk to them about the market. What's going on at the market? Why? You need to be ready for the pricing. Now, once you've heard how the market looks like, they could tell you, you know, last week we were buying the same bananas for 20 shillings. Now we're buying them for 50. Now you already know that the price is going to be higher than you were anticipating. So as you continue to exchange information, aim at getting their contacts fast. Show them that you're more interested than in getting their information than you are interested in giving them information. And as you show interest, they will actually want to follow up by saying, why don't you also give me your number? Now, there are some times that a business card may not work. Like if you're dealing with someone who spends most of their time in the market, chances are they may not have that kind of a business card that you're looking for. But you know what? In Kenya, most of the people have a business card. So the chances of them having a business card, even though that's 50%, the other 50% is that they have a cell number. And if they don't have a cell number, they definitely have a way of directing you to where they work from. So as you gather this information, you're noting it down. If it's a number, make sure you note it down and note the person's name and what they do. That is interest. And then now you can tell them that you intend to visit them. And then you could take that opportunity as a time to tell them what you do as you buy their bananas. Now, while parting, don't be rude. Be good to the people. Have a decent way of walking away. Parting words really make an impact. You could say, it was nice speaking to you. Or you could simply say, I had a lovely chat with you. I'm impressed. Or you could simply say, I look forward to seeing you again. Whatever you do, make sure that you leave that person more impressed about your presence in that conversation than if you weren't there. Now, once you have gathered that information, you do this over and over and you have more contacts. Remember, when you go home, you can maybe schedule. I personally schedule to check on the contacts I've collected in a week, either once or twice in a week. And as I do that, I start sorting them out. I sort them and place them in some kind of a database, so I know who the painters are, who are in the market, in the open air market selling fruits, who sells clothes, who sells books, who's selling paint, who's selling tiles, and on and on. This is actually a way of me being able to follow up. It will help me in my follow-up. That way I can be able to know who am I going to follow up, who am I going to catch up with, like in real, physically. In whose shop am I going to pass by? Who do I need to say hello to? That way my collecting contacts or my work on networking is not a waste. I'll need to be able to form groups of how I'll be able to meet these people. There are people I may not need to meet in the next 2-3 days. There are people I may not even need to meet in a month, but there are people I need to meet very soon. And whenever I have an issue, I go back to my database and I look at who does what, and I can now start following them up, either with a phone call, with an email, maybe just passing by. This is just a way of making sure that the information I have is actually real. Now, you know how to network. You could try that. And if it doesn't work, try and get more information. But I can guarantee you that if you practice this, there's a very good chance of you gathering as much information about people and be able to build something out of this information. Don't get stuck. Network. And now that you've found out how to network, the next question is, who is in your network? You may not have noticed, but I believe you actually already have a network. One way or the other, you know somebody and you know what they do and how they do it, and you're able to refer them to someone else. So who is in your network should also come along with another question. Whose network are you in? Now, if you knew a very nice primary school teacher who teaches young kids and does it very well on tuition basis, wouldn't you want to refer them to a friend who has another child, a child who may need tuition help? That's networking. So the who is in your network is the who you know, and you already know how they do it. And most of the time, you've even tried it out. So it's not just on a word basis. You actually have tried out their services. Or from another perspective where it's not business related, you know someone who can explain a certain concept in a certain way. It could be someone in class. I said I'm a student, so I could know someone in my class who can explain a certain concept better than I can. So when someone asks me about a certain concept, if I cannot be able to explain, I should be able to refer them to this other person. So who is in my network? Everybody that I know and I've tried their services one way or the other are in my network. Now again, I know that I'm in their network because as we interact, they know what I know and they've seen me do it at one time or the other. Now it is my responsibility to advertise those in my network so that the other people who are not in their network get to know them. Now, I'm imagining that you know somebody on this hand, I could say, and you know someone on this other hand. These two people don't even know each other. it's your responsibility to link them up. Now, if this person has a problem and this person has a solution, it won't cost you much to simply say, you know that problem you have? This fella could help you. Now, what happens when they meet? Once you've linked them up, it could simply be giving them the number, sharing numbers. And you've given this person's cell number to this person and told them, you know what, this guy here can help you. And when they finally meet, what do they say? Oh, you know what? So-and-so gave me your number. Now, are you not a subject topic at that point? If a third person walked in when they were talking about it, guess what? You're the subject topic. You just got yourself introduced to yet another person. Now, this is the funny part of networking. The who is in your network, as you introduce them to someone else, they, as a by the way, mentions you or deliberately mentions you in another conversation. So as you're networking people, they're networking you. It's just like a smile. If I needed a smile from somebody, most of the time, I will give a very big, weird smile. And when I give that smile, what happens is the other person smiles. If I want to be referred, then I should be referring. It's the way of growing a network. Refer and you'll be referred. Our fifth question is on what does your network do for you? And maybe you should be genuine enough to ask, what do you do for your network? The purpose of your network. What is it for? Why are we so busy networking? Why do we want to know more people? What will it benefit us? What will it do for us to know a few more people? Maybe in a week. Maybe you have a target of knowing another 20 people in a month. What will they do for you? And what will you be doing for them? Now, when you know someone, they tell you what they know, but they also tell you who they know. For example, I'll give you a very short story. I hope it's a very short story to you. John lived in a flat. His neighbor, who he didn't very much bother to know, had the most beautiful smile John had ever seen. In fact, John's son kept telling him, Dad, have you noticed our neighbor? He's got the most beautiful smile. Have you noticed his teeth? They're well aligned. So one day John was walking down the stairs as he was heading to work, and he met his neighbor walking up. This day he decided to get more information on who his neighbor was. So he simply said hello, and his neighbor, as usual, flashed a beautiful smile at John. Now, John decided to break this silence. He decided to ask him, what do you do for a living? I mean, you got nice teeth. What do you do? Are you an advertising agent? And guess what? John's neighbor was a dentist. And John did not know much about dentists. So he said, oh wow, good. No wonder your teeth are looking so good. And he said, bye and bye. One of them went their way. When John got to work, something very strange happened. His office was under construction, so his bosses had ordered for some renovation to be done. But there was this painter that John was very close to. And he was sitting on a stone and held his jaw from this position. And John knew the painter very well and knew that he wouldn't just sit there for no good reason. He was a very hard-working painter. So he went on and asked the painter what his problem was. And the painter said, you know, I haven't slept a wink. My tooth has been hurting all night. And wow, to John, that was another opportunity of giving some information. John was a very helpful guy. So he told the painter, you know what, my neighbor, I don't know where he lives, or I don't know where his shop is, but you know, there's this. He told me he's a dentist. Would you want to try him? And the painter said yes, but now if you do not know where he where his office is, how will we know? So John asked his boss, can I go and check out where this dentist works? So he went back home, and for whatever reason, the dentist was still around. And John was with the painter in his car, and he told the dentist, look, you told me you're a dentist, here comes my friend, he has a toothache. Would you want to help? And guess what? This dentist had his office downstairs. So they walked down and checked on the painter's tooth, just to find out that, well, the painter's tooth was not so bad, but it needed some cleaning and some filling. The price was so reasonable because John's neighbor was excited that with the first introduction, John actually referred someone to him. So he treated the painter And as he was finishing the filling, the painter decided to open his eyes. You know, sometimes filling a tail is not so comfortable, so he had closed his eyes all this time. And when he opened his eyes, he noticed that the ceiling was not so beautiful as he would have imagined. You know, at a dentist's office, most of the time your face is facing up. Your eyes will be focused on the ceiling more than on the dentist. So when he noticed that, he remembered that he had done a very nice painting at John's office. So when the work had been finished and the tooth had been sealed, he asked the dentist, "Would you mind to see what I've done in John's office? And maybe if you like it, I could do the same for you." And the dentist was so excited that this same day he's meeting a guy who can make his office look beautiful. So he told him, "You know what, I'm going to drive you back to the painting area where you were working, and that is John's office." And they went there, and the dentist was amazed. The painter had done this beautiful work. On the ceiling, the walls were beautiful. And he desired the same. So he asked the painter, "Why don't you do the same for me?" And the painter told him, "Okay, I'll be free over the weekend, so I'll come to your office and do it. We can do some estimates, and the following day, if you don't mind, I can come and finish the work." So the painter went and looked at the work, did some estimate and gave a quotation. But while he was there, he noticed that the floor was not looking good. The dentist's office had some missing tiles. So what he did is that he told the dentist, "Look, why don't I come along with a tile fitter, and he can also give you an estimate. You know, your office is going to look good." And this time the dentist was not so sure. He didn't know how much this would cost him. So he told him, "You know what, just bring him along, but it's just for a quotation. Nothing else, it's just a quotation." So the following day the painter came with the paints ready to paint, but brought along the tile fitter. And the tile fitter came and gave a quotation. And the dentist thought, it won't hurt. So he told him, "You know, we'll just do the front area and I'll be working from the back. So here's the money, go and get the material that you need and come and sort it out." And the tile fitter went and bought the tiles just for that area, and he came and worked. Now the dentist was at the back office working on a client's tooth. When he had finished, he walked into this room. The painter had finished painting. The tiles had been done, and it was beautiful. And he thought, "You know what? Why don't I ship the other things and bring them to the front, and you can go and work on them back?" And the tile fitter told him, "You know what? I only ordered enough material for today. So if I have to do this, I have to go back to the hardware and buy some more material." The dentist said, "You know what? If you can do it now, why not? Go for it." And off he went, and he brought more material. But when he was at the hardware, the tile fitter noticed that the hardware owner was sad, and he asked him, "What's the problem?" He told him, "My son has been screaming all night. He had a toothache." And guess what? He told him, "You know, I'm actually going to fit these tiles at a dentist's office who has been referred to me by my friend, the painter." And the hardware owner thought, "You know what? Here comes an opportunity." He told his wife, sit at the shop and attend to the customers while I take the son to this dentist I've been told about. So he went with the son. They packed the tiles in the truck and they drove down to the dentist's clinic with the tile fitter. That same day, the dentist looked at the son, this young boy's tooth, and guess what? It needed a root canal. And he told him, "You know what I'll do, I'll take some time to sort out your tooth. You need to come back later. I'll do a first step today and I'll do another part later. So if you don't mind, Daddy, you can go and sit at the front as I finish on your son, and then you can come come back and we can talk about how you can make more visits so that this does not happen again." And as the owner of the hardware sat at the front there, he was looking at this beautiful work done by the painter. And guess what? He remembered that he had imported some new paints and some new beautiful material that he had read about in the newspaper, and he wanted the painter to try them. So he asked the painter, "Would you want to come to my shop and see what I have? Maybe it would favor you, a few paints and a few other materials that I've come with that you can use for decorating." The painter was positive about it, and he decided to go on his way home to pass by the hardware shop. And guess what? He found more paints at a good price and more material that he would want to use. He needed a new scraper, a new brush, and all that. And at the end of the day, when the dentist sat down, he thought, "I met John, who brought me the painter, who brought me the tile fitter, who brought me the hardware owner who had a son who was sick. In the process, the hardware owner met the painter." Now think about it. If you look at the whole of this scenario, it's the one person meeting another person who tells them about this person does. If John hadn't met the dentist, do you think the hardware owner would have met the tile fitter? Think about it. Who do you know? What is your network doing for you? You know, your network can work only as hard as you're willing for it to work. Refer someone, as I said, refer someone and you'll be referred. That's what your network does for you. It introduces you to new people, new grounds, new possibilities. Don't die alone. Work with people. Why are you dying with a problem when you could simply talk to somebody? This is Magdalene on the power of networking. I hope to see you again soon and literally network with you. Thank you.